Welcome to Green Card with Gehi. I'm your host, Gregory Ippolito, managing attorney of our Ozone Park office. We have a special guest today, Karan Paul Singh. He's located at our Jamaica office. Now, full disclosure, Karan helped me when I first came to the firm. He is extremely knowledgeable. Specialize in deportation defense, USCIS adjudications, and immigration law generally. However, in which Karan Paul knows very well. However, he is an expert with work visas, especially H-1Bs. When a client walks into our office and says they'd like to apply for a work visa, I say, talk to Karan. And we call up Karan and he explains everything. He is incredibly efficient and hardworking. Please introduce yourself, Karan. Say hello.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. First of all, before I could say anything further, I would take a second on how honored I am to be a part of this show today. I have been an active follower of Green Card with Gehi seminars in the past 3 months, and Greg has been doing a fantastic job. I believe these seminars, they're not only intuitive, but they're very informative for all the law students, all the people who are practicing immigration matters. As Greg mentioned, I'm a senior law clerk at Gehi and Associates, and I'm an office manager at Jamaica office, which is located at 17329 Jamaica Avenue. I remember when Greg walked to the office for the first time, and he was, just an attorney at that stage, but right now he's a senior legal attorney, which we have in the company, doing all kinds of deportation matters. I'm definitely learning a lot from him as well. But yeah, again, as I said, it's a privilege to be here today.
Thank you, Karan. You flatter me. So going forward, as I said earlier, I was a little late to the party when it came to representing clients with work visas, and I always said, go to Karan. He's the best. He's the best. So I'd like to kind of begin discussing, what happens. Clients walk in the door, they ask, hey, I'm in the United States, I have a degree, I have this, I would like to come here and work. And how does this start? Do you have to have a job first? Can you get a work visa before you have a job? Please explain.
Well, first we started as stating that we were late to the party. To be honest, I don't think there's any party when it comes to non-immigrant work visas. Yes, it is always good to have a job first when you're looking for options on non-immigrant visas. Since we're only talking about H-1Bs, there are many kinds of non-immigrant visas as well. But let's just focus on H-1B at this stage. H-1B is an immigrant visa that allows a US employer to hire a foreign worker for a specific job where the foreigner is expertised. It requires a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, either way, or any degree which is equivalent to the US standard. But yes, you must have a job before we talk about any non-immigrant work visa.
Okay. So you're hired in the United States from a company, right? What kind of jobs are we usually talking about when we apply for H-1Bs?
The only reason why this non-immigrant work visa concept is still there at the US, yes, is just because there is a critical need in the US labor market to fill for these foreign students who are coming here, giving their own expertise to these big companies, especially in the field of STEM, where we talk about science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. There's a huge number of H-1B holders, specifically in those areas. That's why the US has introduced such visas where it can also not only boost the economy of the United States of America, but also give profits to the companies and to the employers who are looking forward to, recruit people from other countries as well.
Okay. So is there any path, so generally before we get into the weeds, is there any path to getting a green card through a H-1B?
Oh, absolutely, yes. I think one of the very strong reasons why employers sponsor their employees for H-1B is just because the green card route is easier. We will be getting back to that, but before that, we need to understand how it is valid. It is only valid for 3 years once the H-1B is approved. And once it is approved, then you can always renew your H-1B, but later then you can always go for the green card option, as I stated earlier. That's what is the most common. And yeah, there are H-1B visa to green card is an easier process. Once you have your H-1B done, then the employer can file for a perm application and immigrant work visa, which is an I-140 petition. And once the date is current, then the petitioner can sponsor for your adjustment status application as well. So that's the easier route. Many of the employees take that for changing from H-1B to green card.
Okay, so you said a lot there that I think we should break down. Okay, so you're hired by a United States company, business, whatever that may be. That employer then needs to, what is the first step? Do they just go to US?
Yes, so now since we are talking about H-1B visas, definitely the timeline is ticking because now it's very, now the registrations are going to kick in March. So it's very simple step at the first stage to register an employee for H-1B visa. You have to make a USCIS online account where you register your employee who you're willing to sponsor. It's a simple details needed from the US employer to put the information of the company and the employee is sponsoring. And then once the registration is selected, then you can file for H-1B later. Yes.
Okay.
There are two visa caps when you talk about registration. The first cap is a regular cap for H-1B registration. It is only 65,000 slotted applications to be selected every year, which H-1B, it's a lottery system. And then there is an advanced degree cap, which is known as a master's cap. There are only 20,000 applications to be approved a year. And there is one more cap, it's called Chile and Singapore cap. There are approximately 6,800 applications to be approved a year. This is all allocations by the USCIS. It changes year to year, but this is what the standard is.
Okay, so the USCIS account you spoke of, is that created by the employer or the potential applicant?
It is created by the employer. It has to be created by the employer by the law, or else if the employer has retained any attorney to help them out with the H-1B application process, then yes. But it has to be given to the employer.
The employer, okay. So the employer wants to hire someone from a foreign country. They create the USCIS account, provide the preliminary information. What is the next step?
Well, as I mentioned, to the lottery system, if you're hoping to file for an H-1B visa and your occupation is to subject the cap, as I mentioned, there are three caps: regular cap, advanced, which is called master's cap, or Chile Singapore cap. So it is electronically selected in the lottery, and you will get to know once you are part of the USCIS electronic lottery system after registration. So if you are selected, it will give you a notification. But once you register, it will show the application is submitted. Then if you are selected, you will get a notification for selected. If you're not selected, you will get a notification for not selected. If you are denied for some or the other reason, then yes, that also. And once the lottery has been taken place, which happens almost by the end of March, so you only get 1 month of all the praying and the luck to be selected in the lottery. So if you're selected, then you can proceed with the H-1B application.
Okay, so you said the lottery is in March.
Yes.
Is this so? What are the deadlines? When is a good time to apply?
So right now we are looking at the USCIS fiscal year for H-1B for 2024. It is very important to understand how the H-1B timeline works, because in this entire non-immigrant work visa, the timeline is the key. When we register someone right now in March, okay, let's say in the first lottery happens in April and the person is picked up. The person has 90 days to submit the H-1B application, and let's say the application is approved, everything went very well, there were no requests for evidence, no denials, everything went very well. That means the person is already selected, approved for H-1B, which is starting from October 2023, ending after 6 years in September. That means from October 2023, it will be going on till September 2026.
Through September 26th. Okay, so you have 90 days to submit the H-1B application.
Yes.
And you mentioned something earlier about a perm. What is perm?
Perm is a broad term over here that separate employment-based petitions we can talk about in a different seminar. But when we talk about PERM, I can only mention that PERM is an application submitted to the Department of Labor to qualify the eligibility of an employee to outcast his degrees, his evaluation, his job requirements needed in the US labor market. And then we can take it further for employment-based petition, which varies from EB1, EB2, EB3. But when we talk about H-1B applications, the PERM is not exactly a necessary step rather than talking about prevailing wages. Yes, a certification application to submit the I-129 form. That is only accepted once you are selected for the H-1B lottery. So let's say, coming to your more appropriate question, is that when do we do that? So let's say if you're selected in the lottery, and in April, the first lottery happens, you're selected, then you go for a labor certification application, which is done by the US Department of Labor. It is a simple application on the Department of Labor site, which tells that the document has to be submitted for an H-1B employee to show that there's a prospective marketplace around for this proper occupation. And once it is selected, it is valid for 3 years. In that, you have to show the wage, the skills, the education qualifications of the employee, and what is he exactly doing in the company, and why there is a need of the company to sponsor this particular employee. All of this application is submitted to Department of Labor, and then you have to wait for 7 days. Approximately, if it is approved in 7 days, you will get a notification. And then it is a main requirement to submit the I-129 form, which is the H-1B visa. Okay.
So you create the USCIS account, you get selected for the lottery, then you do the labor certification.
Yes, with the US Department of Labor, yes.
With the US Department of Labor. And then you submit the actual H-1B.
Yes. So when we talk about H-1B, the form is I-129.
I-129.
Yes, it's a huge form. That form is not only for H-1B, it is also for H-2, it is also for O visas application, it is also for P visas application, it is also for Q visas or religious R visas. So it is a huge form even for TN work visas. So when we talk only about H-1B, we need to understand what category we are filling in the I-129, which is the H supplement. So when we are filling the H supplement, there are 3 main criteria for H-1B visa. First is the I-129 form. Then you go for the I-129 supplement in there, which is the H supplement for H work visas, in which the employer has to fill the basic information about the employee, on what grounds he is sponsoring and stuff. And then the other one is H-1B data supplement and filing fee exemption, where the employer will classify what cap the employee is in. Is in a regular cap, is in a master's cap, is he a citizen of Chile or Singapore? Then that's when the application will be submitted.
Okay, that's interesting. So how long after you submit the I-129, how quickly is it adjudicated? Does it take a long time?
Average is 6 to 8 months, but now we can also do premium processing, which gives a notice of action within the 15 days.
15 days.
15 days, yes. Many of our own clients, they are confused that in 15 days they will have a decision on the application, whether it will be approved or rejected, or there will be a request for evidence. So that's why it is 15 days. It's just to adjudicate further, to know further steps. If it has to be approved, it will be approved, yes, in 15 days, but most likely there will be a notice of action requiring that these are the following steps which needs to be taken further. It definitely expedites the matter.
Okay, all right. So after that, let's say it's approved. You send your passport in, they give you the visa, and you can come to the United States.
Yes, if the employer is outside the US, then the employer has to go with the US embassy in that particular country, respective country, because then we have to fill another form at the National Visa Center at the US consulate so that they can get the interview. So these documentations that they are coming as a non-immigrant work visa is approved, they're coming here to work, this is a valid job offer. Then they submit their passports for the stamping and then they come here. Yes, but if already in the US, they don't need anything. They just need to make sure that when they travel outside the US, they have a valid stamp entry of the H-1B visa to get back to the US.
Okay. So you could do it from the United States and abroad, either way.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So you said it was good for 3 years, right?
Right. And then you can file a renewal.
And you could file a renewal.
Yes, but even for the renewal, you have to go again with the labor certification because it is also valid for 3 years. So first you have to get the labor certification approved all over again. And then once it is approved, then you can file for H-1B renewal. That will again be for 3 years.
Do you have to get selected for the lottery again?
No, you're exempted from it, but it's good to have the record. Yes.
Okay. So you can renew it every 3 years, the perm certification, from the United States or abroad. If you have an H-1B visa, can you come in and go out, in and out of the United States as is it good for multiple entries?
Yes, it is absolutely good for multiple entries. Having a valid work visa allows you to go and travel from outside from any of the US port of entry and come back from the US port of entry. If you leave the US for travel and return, as long as the H-1B is valid, you are able to, you can travel, you can come back to the US as well. Yes.
Okay, great. So earlier you said that this includes a path to a green card, right? Because an H-1B isn't a green card. So you have to file I-140.
Correct.
When would you do that? At what stage? And
yes, so as I mentioned that, so when we get the initial H-1B, it is only good for 3 years. Then you can file a renewal for another 3 years. So by the end of 6th year, the employer must file the perm application, which is 9089. That's the Department of Labor form. Once you file that, it will approximately take 8 months for them to complete and get back to you with the application. Then you can file I-140, which can also happen in the premium processing. So the application I-140, I strongly recommend all of my clients to get it done before the 6th year is ending for the H-1B. It's good to have a legal document, and then you can wait for adjustment of status date to be current, where you can file adjustment of status for the client for his green card. But that is the most easiest route. Most of the tech companies, they take that for their employees because it's first easier step, as I mentioned. And secondly, it's a continuity of the employment with the company.
okay, so the I-140, so after you file it, after your application is granted and you're approved, you file the I-140. What are the current wait times, priority dates?
You always have to keep a check on the visa bulletin. It changes every day, to be honest. I cannot tell which country the employee is from, but if a regular check on the visa employment for the adjustment of status based on the employment-based petitions can give you an accurate date when you can file adjustment of status for the client.
Okay, for you to adjust your status. Okay, so when the priority date is current, you can file I-485 like normal, or are there any differences?
No, that can also be on the premium processing. So coming back to your question is that we are done with the H-1Bs. Now we get the perm approved, and then we file I-140 petition, which is an immigrant work visa application. And that is also, we are sitting on the approval date. Let's say this was approved a couple of years ago, but now the adjustment status is current, and I file adjustment of status, right? So yes, I will be getting the green card in the United States of America side and get a US embassy process. But that's how you will get, depending on the visa bulletin, to check whether the adjustment status date is current or not.
And then you can apply and get it.
Yes, then you can apply. Yes.
Okay, so continuing down this line, if your H-1B is approved, are you able to switch jobs? And if you are, what is that process?
You can obviously switch jobs, but as it's better that we go through a lawyer who has filed the application earlier. Many of the employers, they make mistakes that they can switch jobs easily without amending the H-1B status later. You have to inform the USCIS that you have changed the jobs, and that has to be done within the 90-day period, because as per the law, H-1B is only good if you have left the employer who initially sponsored you. Within 90 days, an amendment must be filed with the USCIS stating that this is the new job offer you're accepting with the new employer petition. But yes, you can definitely change the jobs.
You can, okay. Now, if you have an approved I-140 and you're waiting, the I-140, are you also allowed to switch jobs, or is it based on a specific company you work for?
You're also allowed to switch jobs, but it's the same process that you have to keep the Department of Labor and the USCIS informed about the new requirements of the job you're fulfilling in. And also the employer has to let them know that this is the new employee we are recruiting and sponsoring further.
Okay. So does it affect the priority date at all if you switch jobs?
No, it doesn't. No, that is a standard priority date. The visa bulletin is for everyone. It doesn't have to do a specific employment job change, but yes, that is standard, which still determines whether to file adjustment status or not.
Okay. Thank you, Karan. This has been extremely informative for me. I get to ask you all the questions I usually send people to answer for me. I see that Soraya has entered. Is she?
Hi, everyone. Sorry for joining late. Thanks to all the viewers for watching. I'm sure this has been an extremely informative session. I don't know if this was covered already, but what kind of employer could benefit from a H-1B? Was that already discussed?
Yes, we did. Any US-based employer can sponsor the H-1B visa and register to file a petition on the employer's behalf. Yes.
So, and we've seen H-1B employers in all types of industries. So, there's still kind of a labor shortage in the United States, and sometimes employers need to, seek employees from abroad to fill in the gap. So, we've seen employers in the IT industry. We've seen employers in what other kinds of industries have we seen them in?
Medical fields.
Mainly in the
Yeah.
STEM, yes. I think the foreign workers, there is a critical need of the foreign workers in the US labor market, particularly in the STEM field. Every year, US employers, they are seeking highly skilled foreign professionals to complete the requirement for the H-1Bs and to get the company more diverse towards a progressive stage. That's what the US came up with the non-immigrant work visas, where the employers and the US economy is benefiting both.
Right.
And also law as well.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it can really be helpful in any industry. So, we're here for any employers, any businesses that don't know very much about the H-1B program. We're happy to educate you on the program and how it could benefit your business. So yeah, because a lot of employers don't know about this option, that this option is open to them. So we'd be happy to talk to you about the H-1B program. So let's say a person applies for the H-1B lottery and they are not selected. What kind of options does the employer have to bring this employee abroad into their onboard into their company? Are there other kinds of visas that would work for an employee in that position?
Yes, as I mentioned, non-immigrant work visa is a huge category. It doesn't only talk about H-1Bs, it also talks about H-2s, O visas, TN visa, and all other non-immigrant work visa classifications. The alternate routes I can think of H-1B is the best, is that if you are a Canadian or a Mexican, go for a TN work visa, it's a better option than if you are coming from a medical ground, or you're like a medical student, or a doctor or a professor. Then there's a J1 visa. There's always L visas if you're already working on a managerial level in a company which is registered in the United States of America. Then L visa is a great option. It's a quicker route towards the green card as well. Then there's O1 visa, which allows people to show their extraordinary achievements in their field to work in the US. It is very similar to H-1B. It's the same process, 3 years, and then you can extend for another 3 years. So yeah, there are other alternative routes as well for H-1B work visas.
Yeah, there's many options. So we'd love to talk to you about all those options. So I think this was a very informative webinar. We can take questions from viewers if there are any, or we can wrap it up.
So I would like to ask, we went over like kind of the procedure, but more so, what are the requirements? Like, how does someone know that they're gonna, they have a strong case for an H-1B visa or not?
Oh, yes, definitely. So let's just, as I mentioned, any non-immigrant work visa, the key is the timeline. So let's say if you are registered in March and you are picked up in the lottery, and you're lucky enough that you're picked up in the lottery in April, and you only have 90 days to submit the application, which also includes your labor certification and I-129. I would recommend with the I-129, you send as many supplements like your achievements, what you have done, your qualifications, your current employer who's putting the papers for you, what you have done for the company, a job evaluation report by a third party mentioning that there is always a need for such a work in the US labor market, and all the certifications and achievements the employee has taken in his entire career, so that this application can be strengthened or not.
Can somebody without a bachelor's degree apply for the, are they eligible for the H-1B if they don't have a bachelor's degree?
So there are three caps. One is a regular cap in which they ask for the bachelor's degree. Then the other one is the master's cap, which is also known as the advanced cap, in which if any person has done the master's degree. And the third is a Singapore and Chilean cap. But yes, if anyone has done an equivalent degree towards the bachelor's degree recognized in the US, then you can get for H-1B.
Yeah. Okay, so we have just a few questions. I'm sorry, Greg, did you have any follow-up questions about what's required for the H-1B?
No, not necessarily. Karan, are there any other just things you'd like to mention that you feel we missed that may be important we know?
I think we covered everything in this seminar. But it's very important to know that there is always a need to hire an attorney when we are talking about non-immigrant visas. That's why it's always good to have a legal aspect towards it. The only reason is because the employee and the employer will only get one chance to complete the entire application in a timely manner. So it's good that there's an attorney involved. If any single mistake, even in the labor certification or in the I-129, or maybe there's an RFP or denial later, it's good to have the attorney from the scratch and then to take it further towards an approving of H-1B work visa. Did
you have the opportunity to discuss the timing for H-1Bs, like when the registration has to happen? Okay.
Yes, we did. As I mentioned today, that this is the clock is ticking because we're almost starting in February. Now is the time when we also get busy as law firms who are doing employment-based petitions. Our own clients, existing client base, and also other people will be approaching us for registering their employees for the H-1B. It's a simple step. You have to make a USCIS account. Some information from the employer and the employee is needed. You have to register at $10 to the USCIS. And once it is selected, which you will get to know by the end of March, then you can continue with the labor and the USCIS 500.
Right, yes. Okay, so we have just a few questions. So when can I commence my H-1B, filing my H-1B application? So I'm pretty sure you guys went over it already. You have to first be selected in the lottery. Once you're selected, you can apply right away, and your visa would be valid from the start of the upcoming fiscal year. So for example, if you want to register now and you get selected, then you can your visa, you can start working from December 1st, which is the start of the next fiscal year. Next question, where do I file my H-1B visa application? So that depends on where you live. So it's filed with USCIS, but you don't have to, viewers, you don't have to worry about all of that. We will take care of all those nitty-gritty details for you. We have a very streamlined process in our office. We just let you know the documents we need and the information we need, and we take it from there. Okay, some more questions. How long is the visa valid and can it be extended? It's valid for 3 years. It can be extended for up to for 6 years unless you unless you have a pending I-140, and then you can keep renewing it until your priority date becomes current. Okay, can I travel outside the United States on a H-1B visa? Okay, so for this question, it's important to differentiate between status and a visa. So status is what you have in the United States. The visa, as I like to frame it, is like your ticket to get into the party. So if you're in the United States, you apply for a change of status. So therefore, if you leave, you don't have a visa to come back in. You would have to go through consular processing to get the visa, to get the ticket to come back in. So that's a very complicated process. No one should try to do that on their own. They should speak to an attorney. They can come speak to us before they attempt to travel outside the United States. Okay. What happens when an H-1B employee quits their job? So if an H-1B employee quits their job, their status is terminated, and they have to leave the United States, obviously. If they are fired by their employer, the employer has a legal obligation to purchase a return ticket for the employee to return to their home country. So that is very important, especially when we're talking about unlawful presence, because if that requirement is not met, the unlawful presence arguably does not accrue. So these are all very technical questions, but these are some good questions that I think the audience might benefit from. So, as a visa holder, can I transition to a green card holder? I think Greg and Karan have discussed this. So we'll go to the next question. Can a holder of a H-1B visa carry their family to the United States? Yes, you can have derivatives. The derivatives are come on a H-4 visa, and in certain circumstances, they are authorized to work. And of course, if they're children, they can go to school. Okay, so I think we've answered the rest of these questions. This is a great session. Thank you, Karan, for joining our session today. We're very happy to have a guest speaker. Usually it's just me and Greg. So
Yes.
we're very happy that you joined us today.
I mentioned earlier, I started with saying that it is a complete honor to be a part of this show. I was mentioning this to Greg that all of his seminars has been not only intuitive but also informative for many of the people who are practicing immigration, all are law students, as a matter of fact. But again, as I said, it was a complete privilege to be here. I can see so many of our viewers asking questions, and I'm very happy that we covered most of them today. But again, if you need anything, you can always email us. You can get back to us for any of your concerns. We will be very happy to help you out over there. Yes, and as I mentioned, the clock is ticking. This is the time to register. It's the time to get ahead on your H-1B application process, and we can definitely help you out.
Certainly. And so, I'm sure we talked about our 3 offices. Karan, you're in the Jamaica office. You want to share the phone number for the Jamaica office?
Absolutely, yes. So our office is located on Jamaica Avenue, 173-29 Jamaica Avenue, and you can always reach to us. We will definitely help you out with it. And our phone number is 718-764-6911.
Yes, and you're always welcome to email us, and we'll set up a time to meet with you and speak with you. And Greg, you're in the Ozone Park office.
Yes, located at 104-05 Liberty Avenue, Ozone Park. I'm here almost, usually 6 days a week. Come in, we like walk-ins. I got, just, it doesn't hurt. It's free. All right, say hello.
Yes, and of course, our main office, our headquarters is located in Jackson Heights, and the address for the Jackson Heights office is 7409 37th Avenue. And our phone number is 718-263-5999. Our email is info@gehilaw.com. That's info@gehilaw.com. So thank you again, all panelists, and we'll see you all next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karan.
Thank you.